You're lying awake at 3:17 a.m., heart pounding, throat tight, not because you're in danger, but because someone you love is no longer holding your hand. Your chest aches. Your breath feels shallow. You scroll through old messages and tell yourself, this is pathetic.
But here's what no one told you. Your brain doesn't register heartbreak as sadness. It registers it as physical pain. Literally.
In a 2022 fMRI study at UCLA, Sarah M., 34, showed identical neural activation in her anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that fires when she burns her finger or fractures a wrist, when shown a photo of her ex-partner. After her 7-year marriage ended in March 2024, Marcus T.
reported daily migraines and elevated cortisol levels so severe. His physician ran a full endocrine panel before diagnosing grief-induced neuroendocrine dysregulation. This isn't metaphor. It's measurable. It's reproducible. It's biology, speaking in the only language it knows. Alarm.
fMRI studies show 87% neural overlap between social rejection and physical pain. Not similarity, not analogy, but overlap. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between abandonment and injury. It responds with the same cascade: adrenaline, inflammation, hypervigilance, fatigue.
Telling someone to just move on is like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. So when you feel hollowed out, when you catch yourself staring at their name in your contacts for 3 minutes without pressing call, you are not failing.
You are functioning exactly as evolution designed you to function. Your body is sounding the alarm because, from a survival standpoint, losing your attachment figure is life-threatening. Not symbolically, not poetically, biologically.
That means every instinct you're trying to suppress. The longing, the checking, the replaying is not evidence of weakness. It is evidence of wiring. Deep, ancient, unignorable wiring.
You didn't choose love like a flavor at an ice cream shop? You didn't get attached like putting on a coat? You fused, physiologically, autonomically, invisibly, and trying to detach is like cutting a limb without anesthesia. Not dramatic, not theatrical, but profoundly destabilizing. When Elena R., a trauma therapist in Portland, abruptly cut contact with her long-term partner in January 2024, she expected clarity. Instead, she developed transient hypertension, 158/96 millimeters of mercury within 10 days.
Her vagal tone dropped by 32%. Her respiratory sinus arrhythmia flattened, and her baseline cortisol spiked to levels typically seen in ICU patients recovering from sepsis. She wasn't grieving emotionally. She was deregulating biologically. Partners co-regulate cortisol, oxytocin, vagal tone, and respiratory sinus arrhythmia, not as a bonus, but as a necessity. Your breathing syncs with theirs. Your heart rate slows when they hold your hand. Your stress hormones dip when they say your name with warmth. This isn't romance.
It's homeostasis. Once we become attached, they become part of our physiological regulation. David K., 41, experienced this firsthand. After his partner left, he stopped sleeping deeply, not because he missed her voice, but because his parasympathetic nervous system had lost its anchor. His body no longer knew how to downshift. His digestion slowed. His immune markers dipped. He wasn't depressed. He was dysregulated. So when you feel exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep, when your thoughts race despite your best efforts to calm them, you're not broken. You're unmoored.
Your nervous system is searching for the rhythm it learned to trust, and it doesn't yet know how to find it again on its own.
Romantic love isn't something you fall into, it's something your brain activates. A primal survival circuit wired deeper than reason, older than language, and far more powerful than willpower. And it hijacks your dopamine system, not like caffeine, not like sugar, but like heroin.
In Helen Fisher's 2016 longitudinal study, 89% of participants who'd been rejected still showed heightened activity in the ventral tegmental area and nucleus accumbens, the core reward circuitry, even 12 months later.
Maya L., 28, described obsessive nightly Google searches for her ex's social media activity for 14 months straight. Not because she wanted to reconnect, but because her brain treated each new photo like a hit of dopamine. Each unread message like a near-miss craving.
Romantic love activates the same mesolimbic dopamine pathways as cocaine, heroin, and nicotine. Not similarly. Identically. The same neurons fire. The same receptors bind. The same withdrawal symptoms emerge: irritability, insomnia, obsessive thinking, emotional volatility. Love is not a luxury. It is a mammalian survival system, no different in function than hunger or thirst. This is why just stop thinking about them fails. Because you're not thinking with your prefrontal cortex, you're craving with your brainstem. The protest phase isn't irrational.
It's evolutionary. Your nervous system is screaming, reunite, restore safety, survive. That's why barriers intensify desire. The frustration attraction effect isn't psychological fluff. It's dopamine doubling down. So when you catch yourself rehearsing conversations in your head or rewriting endings in your journal, you're not stuck. You're in survival mode. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do: fight for connection, because connection was, for millennia, the difference between life and death.
The healthier you are in love, the more you rely on your person. The bolder, freer, and more independent you become. Not less, not despite, because of. After 12 years of emotionally distant parenting, Maya S.
enrolled in attachment-based family therapy. Not to fix her children, but to repair her own capacity to depend. Within 6 months, she launched a ceramic studio, applied to grad school, and took her first solo trip in 20 years. Her independence didn't bloom after detachment.
It bloomed because she finally allowed herself to be held. In a 2023 pilot program at the Gottman Institute, couples trained in secure attachment practices reported increased individual creativity, risk-taking, and career ambition. Not decreased. Why?
Because secure dependence frees cognitive bandwidth. When your nervous system isn't scanning for threat, it can explore. When your heart isn't bracing for loss, it can reach outward.
The mainstream myth says, to be whole, you must stand alone. But attachment science says, to stand tall, you must first know you're held. Detachment isn't strength, it's a rupture. And ruptures demand energy. Energy to suppress, to monitor, to compensate. That energy is borrowed from curiosity, from play, from growth. So when you force distance before your nervous system is ready, you don't gain freedom. You trade it for vigilance. You don't become self-sufficient. You become self-surveilling. What if the method, the rigid rules, the cold turkey blocks, the vow of silence was never meant to heal you? What if it's a cultural reflex born from shame, not science?
The assumption behind most detachment advice is that love is optional replaceable, and ultimately disposable. That we should be able to sever ties cleanly, like pruning a branch. But human attachment doesn't prune. It scars. It adapts. It reorganizes.
And forcing detachment before integration is like suturing a wound before the bleeding stops. You've been told that checking their Instagram means you're not over them. But what if it means your brain is still mapping the landscape of safety?
That rereading old texts isn't obsession. It's neural recalibration. That crying in the shower isn't regression. It's your limbic system releasing cortisol that's been trapped for weeks. The method mistakes symptom for cause.
It treats the ache as the problem, not the signal that something vital has shifted. And in doing so, it pathologizes what is profoundly human, the time it takes for biology to catch up with biography.
You don't detach from someone you love. You grieve into someone new, not a person, but a version of yourself who carries the love without being consumed by it. Grief isn't the obstacle to healing, it is the healing. Every tear, every sigh, every moment you sit with the weight instead of reaching for distraction, that's your nervous system metabolizing the rupture. That's your physiology rebuilding its internal map. Think of grief not as a storm to wait out, but as tectonic movement. Slow, unseen, necessary. The ground shifts beneath you not to unmoor you, but to make space for new roots. You won't wake up one day and feel done. You'll notice quietly that their name no longer triggers a jolt in your chest, that you scroll past their photo without pausing.
That you speak of them without your voice catching. Not because you love them less, but because love no longer lives in your throat. It has settled deeper into your bones. That's not detachment. That's integration. Letting go is a myth sold to people who haven't been taught how to hold themselves. The real work isn't erasing them from your life. It's making room for the truth that you loved deeply, that it mattered, that it changed you, and that none of that needs to be undone for you to move forward.
This means honoring the love and the loss, not as opposites, but as two sides of the same breath. Inhale the memory, exhale the expectation. Inhale the tenderness, exhale the fantasy of reunion. It means writing letters you'll never send, not to convince them, but to clear your own nervous system.
It means naming the specific ways they held you, not to idealize, but to recognize what your system truly needs to feel safe again. It means sitting with the quiet after the storm, not filling it, not fixing it, but letting it teach you the shape of your own stillness. You aren't detaching from them. You're returning to you, not as you were before, but as you are now. Wider, softer, more tenderly aware of your own capacity to love, to lose, and to remain intact.
You are not healing away from love. You are healing into it, deeper, wiser, more discerning. Interdependence isn't compromise. It's collaboration. It's knowing your boundaries and your longings. It's trusting your own compass while allowing another to walk beside you, not to steer, but to witness. The person you're learning to love again isn't just your future partner. It's you, your breath, your pulse, your quiet resilience, not as a fortress, but as a hearth. Warm, steady,
Capable of holding both flame and shadow. So when you feel the pull, when their name flickers across your mind, when your chest tightens at a song, when your hand hovers over the call button, don't scold yourself. Breathe.
Name it. This is my body remembering safety. Then ask gently, what do I need right now? Not from them, but from me. That question isn't the end of love.
It's the beginning of reverence for them, for the love you shared, and for the quiet, courageous, fiercely tender work of becoming whole with your heart, not without it. You are not broken. You are becoming. Not detached, but deeply, irrevocably, humanly alive.